Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's highly anticipated webinar on master data governance with a focus on ChainSys. I'm Caroline, your host for this insightful session, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us today. So, in today's data driven world where information flows like never before, the importance of effective data governance can never be overstated. So it's not just about managing data, it's about ensuring data is secure, accurate, and a valuable asset for your organization. And that's precisely what we are here to explore. So before we dive into the heart of our discussion today, let me take a moment here to introduce our esteemed speaker, Sagar Jaswani. Sagar brings a whopping 20 years of experience in data management technologies to the table, and his expertise is truly impressive. Sagar's career has been a diverse journey covering everything from integration, MDM, data governance, and data quality to business events and analytics. He's tech savvy pro who's worked with various tools and cloud services from different companies. What makes Saga stand out is his ability to design and create solutions for enterprise data management that boosts productivity, governance, and data usage. He's applied his skills across a wide range of industries, including healthcare, life science, finance, insurance, logistics, telecom, manufacturing, and retail. Saga's done. It's all in the data world, from pre-sales to leading centers of excellence, be it a subject matter expert, architect, business analyst, consultant, and even dabbling in product development. He's always up to date with the latest tech trends, including machine learning and cloud platforms, and knows how to use them to build cool solutions. So today, Sagar's here to simplify master data governance for us. His experience and insights will make this complex topic easy to grasp. So let's give him a warm welcome to Sagar as he guides us through the world of data governance. So Sagar, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Caroline, for the introduction. Thanks, everyone, for joining this call. So this is all about master data governance, which we are going to discuss today. These are the agenda points. First, we are going to go through the data governance on ChainSys MDM platform. Ahead, we are going to talk about how we can, since we are having the ChainSys MDM capability with the data governance, how we can sell it to the new clients. Thirdly, we are also going to talk about that once the client confirms to the data governance, how do we use that confirmation in the RFP responses. Fourthly, we are going to talk about the best practices and KPI connected to the data governance. Fifth, we are going to talk about the business benefits which the clients are going to take once they start using the data governance. And at the end, we are going to go through a demo scenario on the data Zen. As you will observe that this agenda points, these are all connected more towards the sales and marketing audience. Since right now we are having the sales audience in the majority. So let me go through the first point. Okay, so this is about the data governance on ChainSys MDM platform. So let me give you the introduction about the data governance. As the name directly implies, you're trying to govern the data. As Caroline also explained, right, the organizations, they have a big amount of data set. And this data set is coming from different regions the organization is expanded to. Across the region, for every region, there could be multiple domains. And from every domain, you may get the data set. Now, when you're having a big amount of data set, number of departments, number of domains, respective consumers, the respective sources, so those makes it complex if you don't apply the data governance. So to resolve that, you should have there's all facilities of data governance. One is you should involve the data governance in your data architecture. You should also involve the data governance in the data modeling. You should also involve it in the data storage and operations. Also, you should involve the data governance in the security, integration, and the metadata. Now, all these capabilities of the data governance, our ChainSys MDM tool, Data Zen, has in it. Data Zen, as you can see the icon, which is our Data Zen icon, it's seeing on the right side the data governance requirement, and on the left side is also showing that I'm having these capabilities. And the capabilities are, you're having first of all a strong UI user interface available to the end user for use doing the data entry. Second is, while the user does the data entry, there could be some kind of validation rules, there could be some kind of any other pop-ups which need to be guide to the end user to do the data entry, right? So those kind of augmentations rules, those also you can define in the data Zen. Further, data Zen has the capability for role-based access control. So as we were talking about that, the organizations are expanded across regions, across domains, right? So they have different users, they have user groups. Those user groups are assigned to the different roles. So that kind of role-based access control, uh, data Zen has a capability to provide to you. And we'll see that how does it give in the demo. Also, the data Zen has a capability for the data security. How data security in the sense, anything which is personal information about the end user, that personal information should not be shared to the third party partners or the consumers, right? So that kind of data security, that also the data Zen has the capability to give. You can also monitor the data quality. So data Zen allows you to define the data quality rules, define the data quality policies, and also monitor those data quality policies, those rules are getting properly applied or not. So that comes under the data governance monitoring. And also the notifications. So suppose end user is doing a data entry and there is a reviewer, there is an approver, right? So there, whenever any of them has to take the step, they should be also notify on the email. So that's the capability of the data and we can send the notification to them. Data also has the capability to delegate in the sense, suppose there is a team who is working in a particular department to do a handling a proper data set. So that team has a set of users, and any user who's responsible for action and that user is say absent for a day or a week, that particular data pipeline should not get stopped there. So delegation capability of the data Zen gives you that feature, right? So overall, the complete end-to-end data flow, data Zen has that capability to govern that complete data flow from source to consumer. Now, we talked about the data governance on a high level. We talked about the data Zen capabilities of the data governance. Now, we know that we have the data tool available as a data Zen with the data governance capability. Now, we need to also sell this to the client. The client could be kind of a new client in the form of we are getting RFIs, right? So that kind of new clients, we need to update them about this capability, and also with respect to the existing accounts whom we are working with. Maybe not with the data Zen, not with using the data governance capability, maybe with any other tool of the ChainSys platform. So for those existing accounts, we should highlight them that we have this data governance capabilities. Now, how do we do that? What should be our lineup as a sales team? So first of all, we should understand that what is the current client or the new client through the RFP document details we have it, or the question answers, or through the defense presentation. We should try to dig out that what is their governance distribution right now. When I say governance distribution, in the sense, are they centralized in the data governance? Are they decentralized? Are they federated in doing the governance? I'll explain those meanings later on. So we need to understand that what is their approach to the data governance, right? It could be also that the client is not using data governance. They don't know the relevance of data governance. So we should also have that clarity from the client details. That's another point we should dig out. We should also understand that what regions the client is right now, what are those regions domains which they are working with. To give an example, say there is a logistic industry. In the logistic industry, maybe the particular company who's into the logistic, whom we are dealing with, they may be doing kind of national level shipments delivery. They may also be doing the international shipment delivery. That international shipment may be for particular regions, say US and Europe, or could be also Asia, right? So we need to understand for that particular client, what are the regions to be covered. For those regions, what are the domains to be covered? Maybe the client is looking for in particular region for some specific domains. Uh, when I say domain in the sense, say, let us take another example of insurance industry. In the insurance industry, the client may be having the domains as insurance policy as one domain. The set of policies are uh, comes in that. There is also the claims which comes with the insurance policies. There's another domain. There's a customers who claim it. There's another domain, right? So we need to understand not only the regions, not only the governance approach, but also the domains of that particular client, right? And further, once we are clear with it, we should try to dig out the data sources, how many data sources the client is using, how many data consumers the client have. Maybe they're having 50 sources, maybe they're having 30 consumers, right? That consumer, those sources again can be internal, can be external to the organization, can be within the region, can be across the regions, right? So those kind of information is going to help us sell our capability, sell our data governance tool capabilities, and get a new business opportunity. Along with that, we should also see what is the data quality scores right now they are having, the client is having. Is this very poor quality? Is this having a big amount of junk data? If that is true, we'll get the idea from the clients. Say in the RFP response, the client shouts about that we are having a poor data quality and we want to improve it. So if that's the input we are getting from the RFP response document, that's another click to us that we should also suggest to the client the data governance along with the data quality. Okay. Then we should also understand the data pipelines which the client is having. How many data pipelines do they have it? How many data pipelines flow in a day, in a week, in a month? That kind of micro details also, if we can get it, we should try to dig it out. Some client given in the RFP response, some client given when we do the question answers, and the existing clients, we can showcase them the benefits of the data governance and try to find out these kind of details, right? The data pipelines count. Those data pipelines can be governed, and accordingly, we can get a new opportunity there. Then comes the accountability. For every action which we do on the data, there should be an accountable person. For every data set which is available, there should be a data owner, there should be a data custodian, right? So that kind of accountability, do the client have it, do they don't have it? For existing or the new one, we should try to find out, and that gives us again a hint that if they are not having it, we should pinpoint this in the data governance benefit and sell our data Zen tool there. And then, so this all points as listed gives as a sales team we can utilize and try to find a new data governance business opportunity, and we should look for that as a sales per se. Okay, now we talked about the governance, data Zen capability. We talked about the last slide, the sales per se. How should we try to find the client? Now, suppose the client is interested, shows interest. Then what should be our next step there? How is it going to influence our RFP response? So for the new client in the RFP response, the data governance, if the client is interested in the data governance, then it is going to influence the solution. In the response, it's going to influence the solution which we are going to propose to the client, which is going to be the high level integrated solution. It's also going to influence the team structure. It's also going to influence the estimations and also the deliverables. Data governance is a big concept. It has a connectivity with each and every aspect of the data set. So to start with, since we are talking about the data storage in the data zen, right? Data zen does majorly the data storage. So when we do the data storage, to store the data, you require to have first of all a solid data model, right? And for the data model, you require a data modeler, which is one of the candidate in the team structure, data modeler. Now that data modeler, how does he design? How does the data modeler does the designing of the data model should be in sync with the governor. Okay, governor is one of the member of the governance committee. You see there. So the governor should be in sync with the data modeler, should guide the data modeler that see this client has this kind of this many regions. This for each region, these are the domains. Let us go with the data mesh model if suitable, and accordingly, data mesh model is more focused on the domain side, and accordingly can guide that what should be the different domains, what should be the different entities in those domains, right? So that kind of guidance to the data modeler should be from the governance committee. So if you see here, what we are doing here is the governance committee. That means we are involving a team here along with the data modeler. So this is going to influence your team structure, your solution, your estimation, your deliverables. Then comes the architect. Architect does, uh, as we think about the architect, he once the business analyst has done the analysis about the application side of the business, what are the different application pipelines, what are the application rules, all those business events, the daily application flows. Once the business analyst has dig out those information, that's going to be helpful, but not completely to the MDM architect at least, because MDM is not on the application, it's on the data side, it's on the data storage. Now, MDM architect is going to first of all define the data quality policies. Those data quality policies definition is again going to come with the governance committee, because the governance committee should have the idea about the data quality level right now which the client is having, and accordingly they should guide to the architect that what should be the quality rules, and for which domains what should be the quality rules, and for which regions as per the region specific regulations. There are compliances to be done, to be regulations which should be compliant. The company should be compliant as per the different regions. As we know, GDPR in Europe side, the CCPA in the California side. Right now, we are also having coming up in India the similar kind of PI regulations, right? So those kind of regulations, the company, the client has to be compliant with, and those regulations require again a governance committee involvement to define the data quality policies and other policies, right? And those policies, the governance committee member should guide to the architect, and the MDM architect should design it. As he is an architect, so he should design it, and he should also work with his team to implement it ahead in the next step. So that means with the MDM architect, again the governance committee is involved in all these aspects: solution, team structure, estimation, deliverables. So governance is giving us, once the client is interested in the governance, it's going to give us a big pocket of big opportunity there, big gains there, okay, and big work there. So we talked about the data mesh modeling, we talked about the workflow, right? Um, so the governance committee, so for every data set which comes into the client from different sources and goes to the target, right, there is a data pipeline. So the data comes in, it gets transformed, it gets utilized, it gets stored, it gets published, all that cycle. You're having a governance committee who should have a complete monitoring of the data set flow. That means there should be a workflow defined for the data flow. There should be a flow defined, which we call as a business process management in data zen, right? So that business process management, which is going to automate, which is going to define that flow for the complete data set, is again under the control of governance committee suggestions and should be in sync with the architect. Okay. Further, right. So in data design, as we know, there are different screens. So the MDM tools which we work with, there are different kind of screens. There is a screen to list the information. There is a screen to search the information. You may have also observed it on the Google. When you search, you have a different screen. When you get the list of the search result, you have a different screen, right? Same way, data design also have a different screens, and those screens are not have to be customized as per the customer. They are not out of the box available. But data design has the capability to do that kind of customization with kind of strong UI, no code, right? And those screens, again, how should we, which attributes should we show for search on the search screen? Which attributes should we show on the list for the users to list down the records, right? So that kind of attributes, that kind of screens, again, should be coming from the governance committee and should be defined as per the regulations, regional regulations, and the user requirement. And it should be guided with the to the architect and should be worked in sync with the architect. All right. And further, also there is going to be a number of reports which the data governance the governor will be interested in. So when I say governance committee, let me try to give you a lineup about the governance committee. As you see, then governance committee, as the name says, is going to be a group of people. There's going to be a chief data officer. There's going to be a data custodian. There's going to be a data steward set. There's going to be a data set of data owners, data set of data consumers, right? So all those uh, roles which comes up in, they all are part of the governance committee. These are not what we get out of the box from the uh, active directory. Those are different kind of roles which the client is going to have it. But those business users are going to be part of this governance committee. The IT team, which is our team, is going to be part of the governance committee. Our governance committee is a combination of the business team and the IT team. And this roles which I said, the stewards, the custodians, the owners, the consumers, the chief data officers, those all are going to make up a complete set of the governance committee. And that committee is will be interested to uh, monitor the complete data flow, the data quality reports, and the kind of golden data which is available, which we call it as a golden data, is a kind of in the MDM, if you are aware of, there is a duplicate issues which we discussed in the last call. So there are some duplicate data which comes in, and we do the deduplication and we get the golden data, right? So there, that kind of how much golden data we have. So there are different kind of reports which our governor will be interested in to observe it, and will try to improve through those reports the data uh, in every step, in every next sprint, if we talk about the agile delivery, right? So in all this data mesh modeling, workflow building, the quality rules, the customized screens, the approvals, the dashboard building, you'll require the governance committee involvement along with the modeler, the MDM architect, the data quality, and the data engineers. You'll require all that set, and this is going to influence the solution, the team structure, the estimation, the deliverables. So as a sales team members, we all should be, when the client is showing the having the interest, existing client is having the interest in data governance, or the RFP is asking for the data governance, or we can explain that in the response of the RFP about the data governance, we should uh, include this points. So this is going to increase our uh, expand our grip on the project, is going to also justify the need of the clients. Hmm? So that was a sales perspective. Now, mostly when we discuss with the client, you may have observed that as a sales team that the client always are asking for a differentiators. They are interested that why should we go ahead with you, in the sense why should we go ahead with the data zen as our MDM tool, as our data governance tool. Hmm? So for that, we should be having this key points available. And we have been applying this best practices of the governance in DataZen across previous implementations, and we should explain this to the client. So this brings this page on this slide relevance. The best practices, when I'm talking about the best practices, is first of all, we should always start with the small. And when we say we should start with the small is, what we do is the agile delivery which we do. We should slowly understand domain by domain. First of all, we should understand what is the client best as per their business strategy, what is their highest relevant domain and the region for which they are having the high weightage. And we should pick up in the agile delivery initial sprints that particular domain, that particular region. Okay, we should then further apply the data governance which we discussed about. All those we should apply those data governance uh, protocol, and further we should see as per the dashboard reports that are we on the correct lineup. The way we have done the distribution of the domains, are we doing good? The way we have defined the data quality policies, are we doing correct? Is that improving the data quality? We should see that, and we should accordingly do the corrections and go ahead. All right. So that's one best practice which we have been applying, and we should suggest this to the upcoming client as our differentiator. Other one is the federated governance. So since we have been dealing with the big enterprises, those enterprises, they have their own subsidiaries, they have their own branches, they have their own outlets, they have their own different regions, and that makes it a big uh, data set if we just go ahead in the centralized mode on the governance. That is, if you are having a central team of the central committee of the governance who is monitoring each and every data set, irrespective of the uh, domains, regions, subsidiaries, outlets, is going to be a kind of complex thing, and it is going to be error prone. So we should suggest to the client of federated governance. Federated governance in the sense we should distribute our governance strategy on not on the central level, but rather on the local regional level. Further, on the regional level, we should distribute it on the domain level, and there should be a, for every region across domain, there should be a governance committee sitting in. So suppose the client is having 3 regions covered, so there should be 3 governance committee. Okay, and there should also be a central governance committee. So we are not doing a decentralized, we are doing a rather federated governance. So there is a central control, but there is also a control of the governance committee across the regions. So that makes it easier, and whenever there is something common or conflict, there is a central governance committee to resolve the things. So any data quality policy which is common across the regions, so central governance committee is going to advise to utilize it if it has been built up for any region one. So there are 3 regions. Region 1 has built the data quality rules. So the central governance committee is going to advise you to use the same one in the region 2, region 3 if they are applicable as a common data quality rules. So that we have been doing, and that's one of the best practice. We should also we have also done on the different regions in our implementation uh, a regional business policy expert. Now, who is a regional business policy expert? We talked about the GDPR, we talked about the CCPA, we talked about the similar rule in India coming up for the PI, right? It's about to be launched now. It's in the news. Similarly, there are, for every different region, there are different nomenclature, there are different regulations. So when we have a client for that particular region, uh, we should involve a business policy expert for that. That business policy expert for that particular region is going to have should have a complete information about the local regulations. So for example, GDPR is different than CCPA. GDPR in the Europe is more oriented towards the citizens, towards the consumers, okay? And the CCPA in US, California is more oriented towards the organizations on the business perspective. So it's not kind of a generic regulations which we have to follow. So for that, we should always have a regional business policy expert who has an idea about the regional regulations and who is going to be a guiding factor in the governance committee about the regional. So depending upon the client region, we should work ahead, and we have been doing that. So that should be that's one of the best practice which we should follow, and we should suggest in ourselves, document in our RFP response also. Clearly define the ownership and the accountability. We discussed on this. We should have for every data set, we should have a proper owner, a proper person who is accountable, so that if there is anything required, suppose there is any data set which is coming with a big amount of junk data, corrupted data, so the data uh, reviewer should connect to that particular accountable data owner to resolve it. It should not be that we are just doing pointing each other. So a governance committee, that's one of the best practice which we follow. We should have for every data set a accountable person on the domain level, on the regional level, right? We talked about the federated governance. We should also educate the business stakeholders. As I said before, the governance committee is a combination of the business and the IT team, which we have been using it. We should accordingly educate the business stakeholders, because they don't know more than what their business is. They are like a small babies. They don't understand other than what they do. Suppose there is a manufacturer manufacturing a machine, they won't understand other than what their machine does. Okay, nothing about ABCD about the IT. So and they will be part of the governance committee. We cannot work without them. So we should educate them. That's a knowledge transfer we should be giving them. Okay. Audit trail. We have the capability in the data Zen about the audit trail when the data comes in, who is mingling with the data, who is utilizing the data. We'll see that in the demo also, and that audit trail about the ongoing changes on the data set, when, where, kind of metadata information, which data governance is responsible for to. We have that capability, we have been using it, and that's our best practice as a differentiator. Routing, prioritization, and notification. So this is a big keywords which is written there. We discuss about the routing. Whenever there is a person who is responsible for a particular work to do and that person is not available, there should be another person who should be routed to work. Prioritization, we should prioritize our uh, which particular region, which particular domain is having higher priority as per the business weightage. We should understand the client business strategy, data strategy, and then do the prioritization. That's a very important best practice which should be followed, and we have been doing that in the data design, and that should be part of our differentiator in the RFP response. Same goes with the notification. And with all this comes the KPIs, key performance indicators. Key performance indicators indicate, as the name says, that how are you doing with the performance? Are you improving? Not. You should see what is the bottleneck there, right? So we discuss about the start small and grow. So agile delivery is going to help us with the KPIs. So the KPIs, we are going to see that how many data pipelines are covered, how many data pipelines are in the hang up mode. Okay, so there could be we have defined a business process management, we have defined a workflow, and that workflow is not defined properly. Maybe there is some error there. Data then has a capability for BPM, right? We can define a workflow, and that's a corrupted one by any chance, and that workflow has stopped in between. So in that case, we should be aware of that. Otherwise, the client is losing its data set. That means that data pipeline is in the hang up state, and the key performance indicator is That's one of the key performance indicators. The rate of the data pipeline we should see in our dashboard reports. And the data Zen has a capability for the dashboard reports, and there we should be able to see and showcase to the client, as we have been doing before, that how many data pipelines uh, for the last 1 week and before have performed. So that indicates whether are we doing good, bad, where is our performance lacking, and accordingly where we should do the correction, and we should take out the reasons also for that particular pipeline. We get the details also in the tabular details also when we see the dashboard reports in the data Zen out of the box. Golden data KPI. The match merge. So when we have duplicate records, we do the deduplication in the data Zen through the match merge. That's the capability available out of the box. And there, once we have the deduplication done, we have the golden data available, right? We should you, review it, that are we in the sync as per our previous history, as per our history? Are we doing good there or not? Uh, so, for example, if we know that uh, among the 50 sources, the 10 sources are the major sources who are giving you the data sets, and the 40 sources are lesser, other sources were giving you the fewer amount of data set. Suppose 90% data is coming from 10 sources and the 10% data is coming from the remaining sources. So in that case, we should be able to review that kind of golden data in the dashboard reports as one of the key performance indicator. And if we find that there is in that report the things are not in sync, we should review, we should resolve it. Otherwise, our performance indicator is green is positive, then we are doing good. We should move ahead. And this all is viable. This all is feasible when we go ahead with the agile delivery. Start small and grow. Otherwise, it won't be. Data quality scorecard. We should see the score on the data quality, whether it's accurate data, complete data, unique data, consistent data. On different metrics, on different levels of data quality, we should see whether the scorecard is as per the threshold which we are looking for. It's one of the key performance indicators which we should review it. We have the capability in the data Zen. We have been utilizing it. We should highlight this in the RFP response or in the discussion with the client in the defense presentation, or whether it's with the existing client. We should utilize all these KPIs, data compliance and the data availability rate. Data availability rate, what I'm referring here is, suppose a business user is looking for, say, let us take an example, say a retailer is looking for a stock of, say, soft drinks, and he is expecting that that stock is coming from that particular branch, and that data set has been already loaded, and he's searching for it and he's not able to find it. That means there is some flaw there, right? There is some issue there, and that kind of data availability, data search rate should be one of the KPI. And a governor should review all these KPIs. The governor should is responsible to review it, monitor it on all these KPIs, whether how the performance is going for a particular project. And this we should highlight as one of the KPI in to the client's prospective client in the responses. Okay, so the best practices and the KPIs. Okay, so now we come to the business benefits. We talked about all this stuff about the governance, data Zen, capabilities, best practices, sales perspective. Now, unless and until you tell to the client the business benefit, they won't put down the money. They won't give you the money for that. So business benefit is the main one. Now, this is a cycle which we observe in every data storage, whether it's a data warehouse, whether it's a data MDM, whether it's a data lake, or whether it's a data lake house. The data comes in, the data gets processed, the data gets retained, the data gets published to the consumer, and the data gets archived after some time, or data gets delayed. Okay, and the cycle goes on. But for every step in this life cycle of the data, there is a different stakeholder. Someone is capturing the data, another one is processing the data, third one is retaining the data, fourth. So there are different stakeholders, there are different versions of the data set. In every step, there could be a change. So there could be a different data set version, or there could be a different data set stakeholder. Accordingly, the risk, accordingly, there could be a different regions also. As we talk about the logistic, as an example, there is a international shipment going from, say, one place to a region to another region, so there is a regulatory requirement, or even within a region there is a regulatory requirement, right? So for this all steps we should have a monitoring, and when the client is having a monitoring through the governance, you can monitor all the steps, all these different stakeholders, different versions of the data set. When you can monitor, when the client has complete picture in his hand, then the client can utilize it, can monetize it, in the sense, when you are having this life cycle running in loop, you should also have a data governance framework which can run in loop. That is, in the first step, you should define, once you're in the delivery, once you reach to the maturity model, after the different milestones, once you reach to the deliverables, and you have a framework set up for the data governance which can handle this life cycle, then the client is in a good shape to handle the repeated process of the data life cycle and can monetize the data, because they know where, when, what is happening with the data set. Otherwise, they may be just searching for the data. They will not find the data on time. They will lose the business, right? For example, there is a client who is buying again and again multiple policies, say 5 policies from my insurance company, and we are not aware of it as a client, that means we're losing the information, we're losing the business. So that is doable when you can monetize with the data, when you are having a proper set of governance setup, you know about that client. Okay, so that kind of business benefit we should highlight to the client to make them interested, and that's actually on the ground a relevant point for the client, right? Sales and marketing team, you guys can get insights from this cycle. So this cycle, as we know that the data zen, we are having the capability for the machine learning, right? So when you are having a repetitive data coming up from the particular implementation, you have a history to train, to you are having a historical data to get trained. And when you have a historical data, which is a concrete data, quality data to get trained, you can, that data is surely relevant to give you the business insights. It's going to give you the patterns. It's going to highlight you that this region is giving you more sales, this client is giving you more sales, this particular product is giving you more sales, right? So that kind of information, when it comes to the business uh, end user, uh, their sales and marketing team will go ahead and look for that particular region or product or customer, right? So that's the business insight which is going to come up with the machine learning, and machine learning is part of data science. We have a capability available, and that we should highlight to the client in the RFP responses. We should tell them in discussions. Another capability of the data governance is that we are making them part of data governance committee. Their end user will be, the business user will be actually controlling the governance. Why should the business user be involved in the governance committee? Because even though, so first of all, the data governance is an ongoing process. It doesn't end. Once you set up the framework, your job doesn't end. As an IT person, the data governance has to go on. Once the framework is set up, they are going to, we will get the opportunity to do the governance ahead also, because the business stakeholders, as I said, right, they don't understand more than their business. So they will be required in the governance committee to tell that this is confidential data, this is not confidential data, this is the region, this is the domain to focus on, these are the quality issues. So those pointers they will give, because they come with the business data, right? They will be the guiding factor. They should be the decision persons. But the implementers, the accordingly monitoring all that stuff, the governance IT committee, IT members will be able to do it. The stewards will be able to do it. So the business user will have the control, and that's one of the business benefit that they are able to define that what regulations to follow, right? And how to control the data. They will be able to see, and they will be able to work with the governance committee. That's another business benefit. Legal team surely is going to get the compliant data as per the regional level. So the business team legal department will be surely interested because they will be looking for the compliance data. Otherwise, as we know, there have been fines applied because of this compatibility if not followed. So the legal team surely will be interested, and also there won't be any data loss there. You won't be losing the private data to the third party. You may be having an end user. Suppose the end user is getting the information about your sales, about the end user is getting information about your other clients who may be the competitor to the end user. So that kind of information should not go ahead, and that kind of data loss should not happen. And the data governance is going to handle it. The compliance is going to handle it, right? So that's one of the benefit which the governance is going to give to the business team as a business benefit to the end client. Data silos. This is another big point. So sometimes what happens is we talked about this life cycle, right? But this archival and the data deletion, sometimes it doesn't happen because the end user is not even aware about that. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. So end user is not even aware about that there is a data which is not getting utilized. So this kind of data silos is costing them, and we should delete that. All right. So that's the business benefit. Let me. I think we are losing. We're having less time, so let me bit rush on the demo scenario. So this is the demo scenario. We are going to. This is a simple scenario which I've taken. To be less technical, so there's a requester who's going to request the data, there's a reviewer who's going to review it, approver who's going to approve it, search, we are going to search for the data, and we are going to observe the dashboard. Okay, now let me jump to the demo. So this is demo instance. I'm logging as a requester name is consumer architect, and we are going to request for a new data. Okay, let me go to the actions. This is data Zen, and let me go to the activity. I want to do activity of creating a new record. Let me add a new customer. So as you see, the screen is highlighting as per the augmentation rules. So it's saying that this particular attributes are mandatory attributes. Let me put down a raw number there. This is a passport number. Let me put down the mandatory fields. So I'll put down Jack Ryan. You may be aware of him. Okay, I say save and close. So I put down all the mandatory fields. I'm requesting for a new record. Let me validate this record. The validation looks good. These are the rules which have been followed, the mandatory rules. Let me submit the request. So the request went through. It is got initiated. Mr. Jackran is sitting there, but it is initiated. It is not yet in the confirmed state. Let me log out. Let me log in with another buddy by the name Consumer Steward. This user is a reviewer. Okay. We are on the same demo instance. This reviewer is going to review the record, is going to so he has got the record. So he's going to review the entries. If required, he is going to change it. Let us validate. We are finding some one error there. It says the address is missing. Let us edit and put down the address. If you have seen, some of the entries are masked out of the box. Okay. So we have one address. Let us pick up that address. Sorry, looks like. So let us utilize that. So there's a country, there's a state, and there's the city, there's the postcode, and remaining information, let us keep it the way it is. Okay, I'm taking a raw data there, and I'm saying save and close. Let me validate. So the error is gone. Let us submit. So the reviewer is submitting the record after doing the review, after doing the changes. The record is still not available. So let us go ahead and review. So there's approver. There's a third step, approver. Approver is going to approve it. Consumer admin is the approver. Okay, is going to approve it. So we want, since we are a bit going late, so we'll be fast in approving it. Let this record enjoy. So approver can do three things: can approve, can reject, can rework. If find any flaw there, yeah, that approver can send it back to the first user. Okay, the requester. Let me just validate it. If there is no error, let me just approve it. Once approved, let us see whether that record, Mr. Jack Graham, is available in the search screen or not. So let me search for the master data. Let me check. So it's a fuzzy kind of match. Contents, no record. Let me, looks like I'm doing some mistake. Let us do a raw search. Maybe I'm doing some mistake there in the keywords. Let us look for Jack Graham. Where is Jack Graham? Uh, let me to see the total request. To see the completed request. So we approved the record, right? So what's the problem there? There is no pending request. We approve the request. Looks like there is. Let me see. Anyway, so there looks to be one issue there. But since we have less time, let us see the dashboard in time between. Let me go to the dashboard. But I suppose you guys have got the idea. We'll dig out into this with the my team members. In between, let us also see the dashboard. So we are having some other records. We'll see in the dashboard the other records. Shoot out in any questions if you guys have in between. So now we're opening the dashboard. This dashboard is going to give us the idea about that which are the record which are in the. So these are different, which are the records in the golden state, and the other reports are also available, which you saw. There were 4 reports which are there. So you can also see the match merge records and other records. Okay. So this kind of information you can get on the dashboard. And for example, there is a consumer type on the different date. Then there is applicant. There is a customer distributed as for the nationality, Malaysian, others, Singaporean. So it's getting highlighted here as for the different colors, right? Similar way, this pie chart is also explaining you what is the gender of the particular customer, right? So that kind of information can be seen in the dashboard, and this is all to be monitored by the data governance committee. I think we are done with it.
Yes.
Caroline.
Okay. Yes,
So
Sagar.
let
I
us
think,
discuss on any question.
yeah,
Yeah,
I have one because of the lack of time. We're almost like on time, but let's just take this one question. Do we need client involvement for setting governance? And what are the common data governance roles used in MDM?
we require client information, client involvement in the data governance, because the client is going to help us in understanding that what are the different data quality scores there, what are the different data which they don't want to share ahead. So accordingly, along with the local regulation, we should also consider those particular data sets to be hidden, mask kind of, and other kind of, suppose we're getting any corrupted data coming in, and the client wants to resolve that kind of quality issues. So there also the client is going to highlight. So we require the client involvement in the governance committee. Yeah, that's true. We require it. Caroline?
Yeah, and common data governance roles used in MDM?
Oh, common data governance rules. So we talked about that. So for example, first of all, there is in the governance committee, there is going to be a chief data officer, who is the main one. There's going to be the data uh, owner. There's going to be a data steward. There's going to be a data consumer. There's going to be data analyst. Analyst is going to analyze if there is any flaw happen. So for example, we saw one flaw right now. If you see in the complete pipeline which we were going through, right, we saw one flaw there. So there could be some mistakes. So data analysts should come in and should overview this. So yeah, these are different roles. Correct.
Perfect. I think that with this, we've come to the end of the session today. And thank you all for joining us today. We've had a fantastic time delving into the master data governance with ChainSys MDM platform and how to use governance in RFP responses and best practices and so on. A big thank you to our speaker, Sagar Jaswani, and to all of you for your kind participation. Looking forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars. Stay tuned. Have a great rest
Thanks.
of the week. Bye-bye.